What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this episode of the Property Investing Podcast, I decided to talk about the key insights for non-residents who want to invest in Dubai. So if you're a foreigner and you want to come to Dubai or just simply invest, buy a property in Dubai, then this video is for you. I will just keep it straight and take it more as a conversation and basically raw and uncut way of telling you all the insights that I personally know about, what has changed, what's new, and some other smaller insights that you need to know about. So if you're interested, stay tuned as I'm starting. Also, if you like this video and my other videos, I do put a lot of effort into creating them, so I would really appreciate a thumbs up and any comments below. And if you're super generous, please subscribe. So let's take a general case. You're a foreigner and you heard about Dubai property investing opportunities. You want to invest and not necessarily move here, but also maybe you want to get the UAE residency, which is also another major benefit that many foreigners are looking for. So in this case, what do you have? You have two options to start off. Basically, you have a mortgage opportunity and you have the buying the property outright. So that would be either through cash or through payment plans directly from the developers. So in these two situations, basically, if you are going for buying the property outright, then you definitely need all your cash. So you need to be ready to know all the breakdown of all the associated costs related to that investment, because it's not only about the property. You need to know about costs such as the DLD fee, which is the Dubai Land Department fee of 4%. Then you need to know about the 2% commission for the agent that is helping you with the deal. And also you need to register the property, so there is different fees for that. But basically these are the main ones, and also any other smaller things that you may want to know about, such as setting up the electricity DEVA. You need to pay 2,000 dirhams deposit for that. So you need to connect that as well, not only as a tenant, but also as an owner. So even if you plan to rent this property out, you would still have to connect that. And you also basically need to register on those websites. So you need to know all those costs as well. But that is in the case if you want to buy the property outright. And if you want to just invest through payment plans, then this is the case for the off-plan opportunities where developers offer you basically the project before being built or during the construction or sometimes even post-construction. And you have the option to pay some down payment of, let's say, 15 to 20%. And then you have a payment plan where you pay every few months on a 0% interest throughout that period that is specified by the developer until you repaid everything to that developer and you receive the property in your own hands, and then you can do whatever you want with that. So there are many options how you can do this, and there are many developers who offer this opportunity. Actually, most of the developers do this. And as a foreigner, you might also think of, for example, if you don't want cash flow right now, maybe you want to buy something off plan so you benefit from the good price before construction. And then when you repaid at least, let's say, 50% of that whole amount, and if the property is already completed or 80 to 90% completion is ready, then you actually can apply for the mortgage. So you can basically combine both these two ways. But let's get back to the second option, which is the mortgage, and many of you are asking about that. I also have a dedicated video of how you can get a mortgage step by step in Dubai, all the steps, because I personally got one, and I also did refinancing, which is the option that I just mentioned, where you buy something and then you mortgage it and get your money back. So if you want, I will link this video, so go watch it, because that one is just a full guide, free, and you can just use it for yourself. But if you want to get a mortgage as a non-resident, usually the banks will ask you for 50% down payment, and you need to prove some income that you have stable from that country where you're resident currently. So usually they will ask for at least 3 to 6 months of stable income, and that should mainly be with an employer. So if you're self-employed, then most probably it's going to be super difficult. So that's another insight that you need to take into consideration, because if you're self-employed, most probably the banks will ask you for 2 years of statements for your company so they can know that you are actually stable and you can pay those mortgage payments without any problem and without any delays. But if you have a job and basically you are getting a pretty good salary that would cover at least the mortgage payment and something extra, usually the banks would look at a 40 to 60% ratio. So that's the income to debt ratio. Basically, if you, let's say, earn 100 euros, then basically the bank would look that you don't need to have any more debt than 40 euros. So you do the maps according to your own salary. Let's say, I don't know, if you have 10,000, then banks wouldn't allow you to get that mortgage if the monthly payments that you have towards your mortgages, if you have more, or your credit cards goes over 4,000 euros. So that is the case with the mortgages. Usually the banks would ask for 50%. Sometimes you can get it even lower. So I actually do help some of the foreigners, and I've been working with clients on sourcing deals for them specifically, where we were able to get it on 30% down payment, even for a non-resident. So if you're interested, do reach out to me and let's see, maybe I can help you with that. But generally it's 50% or 40% down payment. And just to give you an insight from the past few months of working in this very intense market, it was super difficult for many people to get them actually. And the banks are more reluctant nowadays to offering those mortgages for basically even residents. Even for me, it's sometimes very, very difficult to get all the documents in place and basically receive a mortgage pre-approval. And that's why I think it's a bit of a hard market nowadays. I wouldn't say it's risky, but it might take you a very long time. If generally it takes around 1 month to complete everything on those mortgage steps and getting your mortgage basically approved and getting the property, nowadays, it might take longer and they might even not approve it in the end. So make sure before you choose your property or you're ready to pay a deposit, make sure you have the mortgage pre-approval, because if you don't have that and you just throw some money to basically get an deposit for a property, you might just lose them, because the mortgages are super difficult to get nowadays and the banks might just not give you the pre-approval. And that's exactly why I wouldn't basically be as open nowadays to that option. I know that is way more difficult nowadays for you to think about it, because the prices are also increased and the mortgages are very hard to get. But another option that I'm just also thinking at is that you can really get something, off plan and then just refinance it along the way. This could be a bit easier for you. You might just not be required to pay so much right away. So you won't pay 50%, you might pay just 10% or 20% and then follow the plan. And when the time comes, you would be ready to do the refinancing and so on. Also, other insights that you need to know with the mortgages, you have to pay a couple of other associated costs. So there is the bank processing fee, which is around 1%. And then you also need to pay for the mortgage valuation and for many other things that are related to the whole mortgaging process. And generally, you can close it at any time. Even if you got it for 25 years, you'll just have to pay 1% penalty out of the remaining debt that you have. And that is pretty good. But you just need to know that there is not only one cost associated with the mortgage. It's not just going to be the monthly mortgage payment. You also need to pay for some other complementary costs. And that's mainly at the beginning when you get the mortgage. Afterwards, there are two other costs that you need to take care of. You need to pay for the annual life insurance and for the annual property insurance. So these are two things that are required by the banks, and that's actually an international law. And usually if you get mortgages anywhere, you would have to pay for that. So that's another thing that you need to take into consideration. Usually for a one bedroom, that could be around 1,000 dirhams per year for each of them. For two bedrooms, it could be double or even less. So that doesn't really matter. It's a way smaller amount than the actual down payment that you have to do for the mortgage. But you need to take into account, because that will also require you every year to deposit some money and cover these payments. Also, the last thing, and that's also a very important thing that you need to notice, is that you always have maintenance fees that are associated to your property. Doesn't matter if you bought it outright or you bought it through mortgage. You have this annual maintenance fee that usually is calculated per square foot and depends on the specific area. In Business Bay are actually quite high, and for one bedrooms they could go up to 10 to 12,000 dirhams per year. So basically, when you calculate your rental, then make sure that you also look at the maintenance fee that you as a landlord have to pay, so that you make some profit at the end of the deal. So that's very important. It's very variable according to different areas in Dubai, and that could also change at different moments, because another thing that it's actually quite a big insight that I found out is that when you buy off-plan in Dubai, at the beginning you might pay a much higher sum of the maintenance, and then because the electricity authority would basically change it from the landlord to the tenant, where the tenant pays for the electricity, water, and so on, then at the beginning you might have to actually cover that. That's why when you look in the rental market, there is a lot of properties that are basically chiller free, which means that at that time the chiller fees are actually covered by the landlord. And sometimes they might move on to the tenant. So that's when the landlord actually decreases their annual maintenance fees, but the tenant needs to start to pay for those. So that's also a very important insight for both landlords and tenants to be aware, because if you get into a tenancy contract, you also need to know if that is chiller free, if that's going to change, or just have some kind of an agreement with your landlord. So anyway, I think these were the main insights as a non-resident you need to know when you get into the market. If you want to know more, and if you want me to help you with the whole buying process in Dubai, I do many kinds of services. I do customized services as well. The most important one is the sourcing, where I actually find you end-to-end a property according to your specific budget and your specific requests. So if you're interested in that, drop me a email onto business@alexgoroshov.com, or just text me on Instagram or WhatsApp, and you have all the details either in the description or on the YouTube channel page. So with that, I hope you enjoyed and found this video very useful, and I thank you for watching. Drop a thumbs up and see you in the next one.